Bernard and Elnora Stewart traveled to Alaska in 1953 in order to seek a better life. Both are from Ewing, Nebraska, and Elnora was only 16 when she married Bernie. Bernie worked as a jack of all trades for Elnora's father in the early years. After serving time in the Air Force and working in Idaho, Bernie decided it was time for a change. He'd always had a yearning to come to Alaska, so in March of 1953, they hooked up a 23-foot Nashville trailer to a 1951 stake bed pickup truck and headed up the highway with daughters 7-year-old Sylvia and 4-year-old Sandy in tow. Bernie drove the truck and trailer while Elnora drove a 1953 Ford sedan. The only mishap on the way happened the first day when someone flagged Bernie down and said, "You better go back down the road a piece and check on your wife." When Bernie and the girls backtracked a few miles, they found Elnora had flipped the car over an embankment onto its side. Although the car was a little worse for wear, Elnora was fine, so they got the car pulled back onto the road and headed north once more. Upon their arrival in Anchorage, they stopped at the A&W Drive-In in Mountain View and had lunch. It was there that they heard about a trailer court in Mountain View, and by evening they were settled right in. Shortly after settling in at the trailer park, they bought a lot in Creekside subdivision for $650. They, along with several other families, built a home there. Their only source of power was by generator, that is, until they figured out how to borrow power from the electric company. Bernie got a job and worked for the city for 4.5 years doing road maintenance. Then he borrowed $1,000 to buy his first piece of equipment, a John Deere dozer, and shortly after that he bought a hop-tow backhoe. He kept his equipment busy with snow removal in the winter and excavation work in the summer. In 1960, Bernie and Elnora bought 15 acres and moved out to Lake Otis so they would have more room to store his growing fleet of equipment. It was then that he started Stewart Excavating. They built a duplex there as well as 2 homes. They used one home as a rental and lived in the other one. In the meantime, Bernie's father had moved to Alaska and lived on a trailer on the lot as well. All of the buildings sustained damage after the 1964 earthquake, and water pipes came snaking out of the ground. Fortunately, there was still enough snow to melt and use as a source of water until the broken pipes were repaired. In 1967, Bernie landed a contract with City Electric to clear 48 miles of timber for the right-of-way for the Beluga power plant across the inlet. He completed the job that summer. Ready for change and a chance to expand, Bernie and Elnora homesteaded 117 acres north of Anchorage in 1969. They became the first to settle on Stewart Drive, later to become known as Highland Drive. True to the early Alaskan way of doing things, life was a bit rustic on the homestead, and the road was challenging. Bernie had hauled in an old surplus barracks building from the military base and used it for a prove-up home, and for some time they hauled water and heated with wood. Those were busy days as the family worked to tame the land. The 2 girls, Sylvia and Sandy, were old enough to help with the chores that came along with 30 head of cattle, clearing the land, and raising a vegetable garden. Bernie added a second story to the old barracks building and continually made improvements to the homestead and the road. The 40-inch blade on the sawmill that Bernie used to build a log cabin on the homestead, which he built after completing their 2-story home, claimed his right index finger, but it didn't slow Bernie down much. In 1970, he contracted with Chugiak Benefit Association to run the new dump site just south of Eagle River. He was the overseer there for 4 years. In the early 1970s, he built a building known as the Ice Palace, a restaurant and bar which served as office and concessions for the speedway that he built on the other side of the road. The speedway provided racing enthusiasts from all motorized sports a place to spend their weekends. Although the Ice Palace was enthusiastically endorsed by many area residents, it was only in business 3 years when controversy with residents across the valley regarding noise pollution and dust shut it down. The Ice Palace building serves as the Volunteers of America Arch Youth Home today. In the meantime, their 4 children grew up on the homestead and attended local schools. Bernie and Elnora had adopted 2 Alaska Native boys, Stephen arriving from the Pribilof Islands as an 11-year-old in 1960, and Stacy as a 3-day-old infant in 1966. The children kept them busy with community activities, and Elnora became the first Campfire Girls leader in the area. The couple was a sponsor of Connect Little League as well as a local hockey league. During the days of the Ice Palace, they sponsored Cheryl Fisher as Miss Ice Palace, and she went on to become Miss Alaska. In more recent years, Bernie and Elnora have adopted a more laid-back lifestyle. Bernie retired from the excavating business in 1982, and they have done some traveling, but ultimately decided that home was the best place to be. Although they have decided they don't want to leave their home to travel, they purchased 3 acres in Homer, where they built a cabin and they keep a fishing boat. It serves as a place for the entire family to go for leisure, fishing, and recreation. All of their children remain in Alaska and have provided them with 8 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren to enjoy. They celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary in June of 1988 with a huge gathering of over 100 friends and family at their home. Each of them celebrated their 80th birthdays in much the same way, although Bernie's was a surprise party that he nearly missed out on. For a touch of humor that day, the local fire station made sure to have a fire truck on hand in order to control the flames from his birthday candles. Although they are both in retirement mode these days, they are by no means idle. Bernie still maintains the water system for their subdivision, as well as raising and milking goats for goat cheese, and raising a large vegetable garden every summer. Whenever there is need for a little excitement, the wildlife that still frequents Highland Drive seems to provide it. Determined to protect his family and his livestock, Bernie shot a grizzly bear in 1992, which caused great consternation amongst wildlife officials. In 1995, he also shot a wolf that was after his goats. Elnora, although quite certain that she doesn't want to travel, yearns for the feel of the tropics during our long, dark winters, so she has created her Hawaii room, complete with hot tub, which allows her to travel from time to time to the tropics. Bernie and Elnora have certainly made an impact on Chugiak-Eagle River, pioneering the way for our Highland Drive residents and adding that can-do spirit to our community. We hope that you have enjoyed meeting these 3 families who were among the first to arrive in our community. We who live here today appreciate their efforts toward growth and improvement as we reap the rewards of their endeavors. May their pioneer spirit continue to rub off on each of us, helping us to remember that today we too are making history.